So when we had the shooting in Parkland and all those high school kids got shot, a lot of the right wing made the preposterous argument that, oh my God, the law enforcement didn't do their job, because they now love to attack law enforcement. They attacked the FBI. They said, oh, they got warnings about the shooter. He had said things online and they didn't follow up properly. And then when the local sheriffs down there disputed the NRA on gun control, then they went after them and they said, oh, they were terrible and they didn't do their job. All these warnings, the guy wrote bad things on the internet. Why didn't they go grab his guns? Ridiculous. I told you at the time that the right wing would never allow it if it was ahead of time. If they would have been his biggest defenders, they would say under no circumstances he's got Second Amendment rights, etc. Well, now we don't have to wonder about that anymore because we have nearly identical case and it is clear what is going to happen. So University of Central Florida police officer Jeffrey Panter said that he started investigating Christian Nicholas Velasquez after getting reports from the school community about a user on the online social media platform Reddit called The Real UCF Chris, who called Parkland shooter Nicholas Cruz and Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock heroes. So here's a guy online, just like Cruz did earlier, bragging about how much he likes the mass shooters and saying all sorts of other outrageous things about shootings. Okay, so they went and talked to him. And so this police officer, Jeffrey Panter, interviewed Velasquez, as Orlando Sentinel explains, who answered a series of hypothetical questions about committing a mass shooting. Panter asked if his target would be UCF. Velasquez answered he would probably do it at the middle or high school where he was bullied. Well, that seems abundantly clear, and that fits a pattern. Unfortunately, some of these shooters have been bullied in the past, or at least in their mind, they were the victims, and then they go and strike out and kill all sorts of people, and he fits right into that pattern. He also said it would take a tragic life event, such as a breakup or firing from a good job, to provoke him. Wow. So, of course, his dad and his lawyer are defending him to the hilt, and I understand that. And they say, no, but he also said in parts of the interview they would take something extreme. First of all, it shouldn't take anything to do a mass shooting. I don't care what extreme event happened in your life. I don't care if you sprained your ankle or you broke your ankle. It doesn't allow you to do a mass shooting. Second of all, when given an opportunity, he told the cops it would take something as quote unquote extreme as losing his job. That's not extreme. That happens to people all the time. So an argument could be made that he's a ticking time bomb. Well, he explained it by saying he wanted to look like a badass on Reddit, okay? That's according to his lawyer. Okay. But that's exactly what the Parkland shooter would have said if cops had come up to him. And in fact, they had interviewed him and he said, it was just me venting online. I was saying those things online, but I'm not really gonna do it, but he did. So luckily in Florida, they just passed a law that says for these folks, you can actually do something about it for a couple of weeks. Wow. So they did, and by the way, law enforcement doing a good job here, following up, making sure nothing goes wrong. But then we go to Circuit Judge Bob LeBlanc, who's got a rule on this. And he says, I don't disagree with issuing of the initial temporary injunction. I think that's exactly what the statute provides for. So then they passed the statute, they got the injunction, great, it's working like we want. The problem is, it's enormously temporary. It lasts an incredibly short period of time. So now when prosecutors asked to extend it for a year, the judge declined to extend the ban. So now he's out there and he can do anything he likes. I hope that he was actually venting. I hope he doesn't do anything wrong. But I told you, they're not gonna take away their guns, no matter what they say online, no matter how specific the threats are. They're not gonna do it. So, not only that, on top of that, the family, according to the Sentinel, will pursue civil action against Orlando police. Harris, that's his lawyer, told the Orlando Sentinel. So, just as I told you, when you've got a person that is very similar initially to Cruz, this guy didn't do any mass shootings, I wanna be clear about that, but said that he idolizes these mass shooters and would like to do similar things, and told that to the cops, they say, there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do. Second Amendment, Second Amendment. Second Amendment, there's nothing you could do. I told you that they would say there's nothing you could do. And if he does do a shooting, they'll say, oh, it wasn't the guns, it wasn't the Second Amendment, it was law enforcement, golly gee, they should have done something. They did do something, but you've handcuffed the cops in this case, and in the Parkland shooting case, even more so. By the way, read the Second Amendment. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary. I know conservatives are not that bright, But do you know the English language? Which part of a well-regulated militia was the Parkland shooter, was the Vegas shooter, the Texas church shooter, this guy? They're not in a well-regulated militia. They don't have the unlimited gun rights that the right-wing fanatics think that they have. Read the Second Amendment. It says you need to be in a well-regulated militia, and none of them are. But the conservative justices go, oh, I claim to be in favor of strict construction. I was just kidding. I can't read either. I'm just gonna let everybody have weapons. And today, another shooting, this time at YouTube headquarters. I've been in that building many times, and soon, some of you have already said it, and some of you will soon be saying it. Oh, I was just there, and oh my God, all those people died. Or one day, one of your loved ones is gonna be there, or you're gonna be there, because the mass shootings are endless. And because of the insanity of the right wing in this country who can't read English, we are led to believe that they have unlimited rights to heavy weaponry. It's preposterous, it's not true. And here you have another example ahead of time where because of that interpretation, they say there's nothing we can do. If he does actually one day go and shoot up his middle school because he felt aggrieved and he felt that those other shooters were heroes, they'll say there's nothing we can do. Our government will not protect us. It's run amok. Gun manufacturers run this country. It's sick. If you become a member of the Young Turks, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
So do it right now, tytnetwork.com/join. Get the whole Young Turks show every day.